Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new episode of NASCAR Heat 3 Career Mode. Today we will be racing in ISM Raceway in Phoenix with a recap of Hailie Deegan's race as well as my cup race. We're coming into Phoenix with a pretty strong start on the season. We've had top 10s in every race so far for myself. Hailie Deegan got her first career top 10 in the last episode in Las Vegas, and she's looking to continue that in today's episode as we came into ISM Raceway. She actually had a very good qualifying effort. She would start on the pole, and we came straight to lap 1, and she would not hang on to P1 for long. As we went into turns 1, she moved up the track and immediately lost the lead. Maybe a little bit of a rookie mistake there as we went into turns 1, as she kind of descended in a little too deep, and she pretty quickly would drop down the order as she just did not have the speed that we thought we had in qualifying, as she quickly fell behind a P3, and it just kind of kept on going as we came to the midway point in this race. She fell down to P6, battling to hang on to it from Ryan Priest in 18, who would end up getting past her as well, and she just, like I said, continued to drop back, but she did hang on inside the top 10, and by the time we came towards the end of this race, she didn't really lose too much more time, so that was fortunate for us. But as we came to the last lap in this race, she fell down to P8, battling for 7th with Ross Chastain through the final few corners as we came down the back straightaway out of turn 2 for the final time in this race. She sits P7 at the moment as we went into turn 3 and 4 for the final time. Someone actually got spun out and was sitting on the bottom of the track, and that allowed Hailie to get ahead of Ross Chastain as we came out of turn 4, and she would come through to finish P7 at ISM Raceway. So certainly a solid finish for our team, and that's exactly what we needed. And Christopher Bell won the race, so he's locked into the playoffs already, so good for him, I guess. But either way, hopefully we can continue a good run when we go into my cup race here in the number 1 car. So we last season we had a very poor finish in the spring race in ISM Raceway, and then in the playoff race we had a top 10, which was the last time we were there, and obviously that was a very interesting race. There was like 10 cautions, all created by AI drivers, so we'll see if we have anything like that again today in the cup race. Hopefully not, but we'll find out now as we will get a quick look at the point standings once again. Before we go into this race, we had to choose an incentive contract, and I chose 3 top 10s. And Hailie Deegan would actually move into a playoff position now. So early on in this season, things are looking good. And in the Cup Series, we sit P2 in the standings behind Kevin Harvick, who leads the point standings, as Hailie Deegan, you see, sits 10th in points. Christopher Bell already with 11 playoff points, dominating this season, as now Hailie's in a very solid position. And we are P5 in the playoff standings and 2nd in the regular season standings. I think last season we finished 2nd or 3rd, maybe 4th in the regular season, so we're pretty much on pace to what we did last season. And our teammate Kyle Larson right now not having a great run in the points, as he had a couple bad races at the start of the season, so he's trying to rally back from that as we come to qualifying. Coming through turns 3 and 4, we made it to the final session. We got the pole last time we were here at this racetrack, but unfortunately we would not get the pole this time, as we came across the line with a 26.879. We would qualify in P5, so still a good starting position as we head into ISM Raceway.
Welcome to Avondale, Arizona, and the recently rebranded ISM Raceway for today's running of the Ticket Guardian 500. ISM, formerly Phoenix International Raceway, recently completed a massive renovation that has dramatically improved the race experience for fans. One of the biggest changes was the moving of the grandstands to the south side of the track, giving spectators some much-needed shade. But this change meant the start-finish line and pits also needed to move to the former location of Turn 2. Will these new updates have a big impact on the outcome of today's race? Let's head on down to the track and find out.
All right, we are ready to get going in ISM Raceway. Denny Hamlin has not been good in practice. They're hoping they can do better in the race. Brendan Gaughan had an engine change after qualifying, so he will be starting in the back of the field, and that's the only driver sent to the back in this race as we get ready to start P5 behind the front row of Kyle Busch on the pole and Kevin Harvick on the outside pole. Now as we get ready, the green flag is out. We are underway in ISM Raceway right off the bat. A big restart for us, as the AI really do suck at restarting at this track, so we're certainly going to have to be careful of with getting into the back of other cars now as we go into turns 1, overshooting turns 1 just like Hailie Deegan did in the Xfinity race. Now as we go way wide, losing a few positions as Kurt Busch unfortunately was on my outside and we pushed him wide, as well as actually we didn't lose anything just yet as we battle alongside the 2 in the 78 of Keselowski, who clears me on the exit of turn 4 as we come across the line. Kyle Busch leads lap 1 as Harvick tries to hang on to P2. Truex now clears me down the front straightaway into turns 1 as he takes the 5th position, forcing it up the inside of Keselowski now through turns 1 and 2. As we come out of the corner, Kurt Busch looks to my inside, down the back straightaway with Ryan Blaney lurking in my mirror now as we go into turn 3, drifting back to P7 early on. So a loss of 2 positions as we come out of turn 4 to complete the second lap of this race, as now Logano moves into second place behind the leader of Kyle Busch. Now as we come to lap 4, still in these battles on the inside of Keselowski this time as he drifted back just a little bit, and you see up ahead Joey Logano now is drifting back, as well as Kyle Busch continued to lead this race. But not for long, as Martin Truex Jr. looks to his inside going into turn 3 with a bit of a late move as we look to the inside of the 22 of Logano as we come out of turn 4 though, but Martin Truex Jr. will clear Kyle Busch for the lead now as he already has a win this season a few episodes back in Atlanta, so he's locked into the playoffs, obviously the defending champion in our series, so good for him. He's trying to get up there and get as many playoff points as he can, as we did clear Logano. And Kyle Busch, he continued to fall back as we got up to P4 ahead of Kevin Harvick. We ran down the 18 of Kyle Busch. We would get ahead of him out of turn 4, so we would move up into P3, which was kind of surprising because I really didn't feel like we had a car that was capable of running in the top 3, but we found a way to get up into this position behind second place of Paul Menard. Now, he's getting a little bit sideways on the exit and center of the corner now as Martin Truex Jr., the leader, is long gone, and we basically just continued to ride in this kind of spot behind Paul Menard. I couldn't really close in on him very well now as Truex is long gone. He's already probably well in position to win stage 1, as behind me we've got Eric Jones sitting in the 4th position, and I believe behind him Kyle Busch battles with maybe Kevin Harvick as they try to get P5 as we come out of turn 2, a little tight behind the 21 of Menard now as we come down the back straightaway. And like I said, we continued to run just about the same gap behind Menard now coming through turns 3 and 4. This is a few laps later. We just could not gain anything on him as the 20 of Jones and the 2 of Keselowski, those guys behind me, started to close the gap on me as we approached the final few laps of stage 1, as we did close the gap up a little bit on Paul Menard, but he would end up once again stretching it back out a little bit now as we come out of turn 2, just trying to run him down, but unfortunately we could not do that as we came to 3 laps to go. We did close in once again on him and pulled away actually from the cars behind me, so things were looking pretty strong for me as we were actually maintaining a pretty decent gap between myself and the leader of Truex. He really wasn't pulling away. He was certainly pulling away a little bit by a few tenths every few laps or so, but we certainly were showing some speed early on in this race as we decided to cut the dog leg as we hit 2 to go in stage 1, trying to run down the 21 of Menard to get P2 at least in stage 1, but he certainly has quite a bit of speed to where we might not be able to do it. Now we get a little bit loose on the exit of the corner as we come out of turn 2 though, no harm done thankfully as we come down the back straightaway into turns 3 as 4th place Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he starts to close the gap on me as he's looking surprisingly like he has a pretty strong car in this race as the white flag is out for us in stage 1. Truex almost 3 seconds ahead. He is in perfect position to win the stage as now Menard's looking like he's going to be able to hold me off for second place as Stenhouse has closed the gap now on my back bumper as we come out of turn 2 down the back straightaway for the final time in stage 1. Harvick is on Stenhouse's bumper as we go into turns 3 and 4. Martin Truex Jr. will easily win the stage, and as we come out of turn 4 a little bit tight, and that will allow the 17 to get to my inside, but we will come across the line first and ahead of him to get P3 in stage 1 fortunately, which will give us 8 points as Kyle Busch gets the last stage position in 10th. So certainly a solid stage effort for myself, and now we decided not to pit. You see it briefly for a second, I was going to pit, and then I'd seen that no one else was pitting, so we stay out, and we will be restarting behind the 78 of Truex for P3 now as we get ready to go green behind the leader.
Are you ready now?
And the green flag is back out. Kevin Harvick on my back bumper as we clearly have a jump on Truex, but I'm not going to make it 3 wide before we get to the line. That would be an automatic penalty going to his inside, changing lanes before the line after a restart. Now as we come through turns 1 and 2, Starting to edge ahead of Paul Menard, though, on the exit of the corner. He's going to be able to get a run back down the back straightaway as Stenhouse is right on my back bumper as we go into turns 3 and 4. Just about ahead of Menard, but I just could not quite get the speed to get past him now on the exit of turn 4. He would clear me as we came across the line, so I was not able to get up to second for the moment as Truex already driving away from the field. Now Stenhouse looks to my inside, but he quite wasn't able to get down there as we come out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. He was able to get to my inside down the back straightaway as we got tight on the exit of turn 2 and into turn 3. I couldn't really defend the position very much as we come through the center of the corner. Basically no chance of fighting him off, and that allows Kevin Harvick also to get to my inside as we come across the line. Harvick would clear me and we would fall down to P5, so certainly not looking like we have the speed that we did in stage 1. Obviously the tire wear becomes a big factor in that because AI basically don't know what tire wear is, unfortunately, in this game, which hopefully is fixed in the next game. Now as we come into turn 3, Truex continuing to pull away as Stenhouse is all over the back bumper of second place Paul Menard as we come across the line. You don't ever see Ricky Stenhouse Jr. running good, but he would get past Paul Menard and move up to second place just in front of Kevin Harvick as Truex still slowly starts to put a gap between himself and the field as we cut the dog leg with 8 laps to go in stage 2. And I was certainly starting to lose some pace in the car at this point as the tire wear was starting to really come into an effect as 6th place Kurt Busch started to run me down at this point in the races. He has a bit of a pack of cars behind him, all just hunting me down now as we come to lap 9 in stage 2. Just a few laps later, Kurt Busch did run me down with Eric Jones and Alex Bowman right behind him. So as we come out of turn 4, I move up the track and say, yeah, okay, you guys can have the position because I am much slower than you guys, so what's really the point of holding them up? So as we go into turns 1 and 2, the 41 is able to get by me now as Eric Jones looks to my inside and Alex Bowman looking like he is going to follow the 20 right on past me now as we fall back to P7 and eventually fall back to P8 as I brake early to allow the 88 to clear me going into turns 3 and 4. Now as we come to lap 13 in stage 2, pretty much didn't lose much between myself and the 88 of Bowman, but certainly they have much more speed than I did as we come across the line to hit 2 laps to go in the stage. Just at this point pretty much bringing the car home because you see on the right front tire it was 44% worn, so certainly not in good shape. Now as we come through turns 1 and 2, approaching the back straightaway, it'll be the white flag in stage 2 next time by as we are getting really tight at this point, having to lose or give up a lot of time just to make sure I can at least get the car around the track without wrecking it into the wall or something. Now as we come out of turn 4, coming across the line, the white flag in stage 2 is in the air. All of the other tires are actually pretty well good conditioned except for that right front tire, which is unfortunate for us as the stage would end up ending early. Not sure what happened just ahead, but clearly someone blew an engine. So stage 2 ends early. We get P8 and the stage winner, I'm not sure who that was just yet, but we're about to find out. It was Martin Truex Jr., so another playoff point for him as he wins stage 1 and 2. And this time we would come in, make a bit of a wedge adjustment because I felt like on the long run this could really help me because the car is pretty tight at this point in the race. And we will be restarting P8 behind the 20 of Eric Jones as the green flag is back out. The final stage, stage 3 is underway at ISM Raceway. Truex and Harvick lead the front rows going into turns 1 and 2. This is a bit of a longer stage. It's about half the race as it is 40 laps until the end here as they go 3 wide behind me between Suarez, Keselowski, and I believe that might be Ryan Blaney as well. Now as Jimmy Johnson looks to my inside down the back straightaway as we head into turn 3 and 4, just trying to run that outside line right now, and it's not actually working too bad, but now as I get an opportunity to get to the inside, obviously I'm going to take the advantage and get down to the bottom now as we get on the back bumper of Eric Jones going into turns 1 and 2, looking to his inside now as Jimmy Johnson gets clear of the 20 going through turns 1 and 2 on the back bumper of the 48 now trying to get to his inside, but we just could not quite get there as we come out of turn 2 side by side with the 20 of Eric Jones going into turns 3, getting P8 from him now as we get clear of him on the exit of turn 4. Coming across the line, Johnson on the back bumper of Menard, and Harvick, he starts to fall back now. Harvick still looking for win number 1 on the season. He leads the points right now, but he just has not got that win yet like he did last season. He dominated last season, but didn't get a win till about almost 10 races into the season. And you can see up ahead, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has taken the lead in this race. Stenhouse somehow leads at somewhere other than a plate track, as that started to get a little bit loose through the center of the corner. And immediately, that's one thing I was noticing, is that on the short run at least, that wedge adjustment I made was certainly making the car looser. A little too loose, but hopefully it pays off in the long run. Now as Johnson looks to the inside of the 4 of Kevin Harvick as we come out of turn 2 with a big run on the back of the 48. We're going to give him a shove down the straightaway as we head into turns 3 and 4. The 4 of Harvick pretty much just a sitting duck as we force it 3 wide going into turns 3 and 4. Now on the inside of the 48, he will clear me on the exit of the corner as we cut the dog leg, trying to gain some time as we head into turns 1 and 2 on the inside of the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Now looking to the inside of the 48 as well as go into the corner, trying to make it 3 wide once again. This time Harvick backs out of the situation as we come out of turn 2 side by side with the 48. I'm going to side draft him just a little bit down the straightaway to keep him from clearing me as we go into turns 3 and 4. Stenhouse continues to lead, and he's actually pulling away somehow as we clear the 4 and the 48 as we come across the line to hit just 35 laps to go. And as we come into turn 1, just ahead of the 48 in the 4, through the center of the corner now on lap 44, the car starts to get loose and we go down the track towards the apron and it snaps back into the wall, hard into the wall, and the caution is out as I just completely crashed the car. The wedge adjustment has unfortunately caused me to crash as I started getting sideways and we were going down towards the apron and I was holding the wheel to the right, and eventually instead of straightening out, it just completely snapped to the right and I had no chance. I slammed on the brakes hoping that something would happen, but unfortunately we were going way too fast still at that time when the car snapped back to the right. And unfortunately, we nailed the wall head on, as really we should be out of this race, but they don't got DNS in this game, which is one thing I would love to have. Unfortunately, we don't, though, as we go into turns 1, already having some more trouble as we run into the back of the 13 of Ty Dillon, getting sideways, having to come back up the track before we get to pit road, so we don't get into the pit lane now as we come down the back straightaway just ahead of Brendan Gaughan, and I believe Ross Chastain on my outside as we go into turns 3 and 4, just forcing it 3 wide best we can. We could still rally back to maybe get a top 10 finish. This is kind of similar to the fall race back last season in the playoffs when I think we spun out or something went wrong and it set me behind, and I was looking like I wasn't going to be able to run back up to the top 10, and we had, I think, even less laps than we did right now. So fortunately we got the time to get into the top 10, and we should be able to do it still now as we get up to P29 on the exit of turn 4, battling side by side with the 51 of Harrison Rhodes, and we would get up to the top 25 now, up to 23rd, just ahead of Sorensen by lap 50 as we come through to complete this lap. And I was looking at the right side because I hit the wall a little bit thinking I had some damage, and now as we come into turns 1 and 2, 23rd behind 22nd of AJ Allmendinger, closing in on 25 laps to go. So they're certainly running out of time, but now it's going to get much closer as the caution would end up coming out. So certainly going to give us a chance to get all grouped back up together and get into the top 10. But first, we got to set our eyes on getting into the top 20 as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. continues to win this race, or lead this race. And I talked about having upsets, and he could be an upset if he wins. Now, as we cut to the apron immediately on the restart, as soon as I cross the line, like you've seen in real life on this configuration of the track. Now, as we're 3 wide with, I believe, Michael McDowell and someone else on his outside as we come out of turn 2 side by side with Almirola, the driver that we were not happy with in the last episode after he put me into the wall. And there is a brief audio cutout at this moment. I'm not sure what it was, but I'm sorry about that. Anyways, as we come out of turn 4, though, side by side with the 9 of Chase Elliott, we clear him through the dogleg going into turns 1. We have now worked our way back into the top 20. We're rallying our way back forward just like we did last season in the playoff race at this racetrack as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. continues to lead this race, and he really is putting on one heck of a performance. And surprisingly, it's not like he just kind of found his way into that position with luck or like pit strategy. No, he actually raced his way to the front of the pack now as we sit P17 behind 16th place of Daniel Suarez now as I go to the outside line trying to make that work through turns 1 and 2 on the exit of the corner, though a chance to look to the inside, but Suarez and Kyle Busch are going to both protect the bottom as we have our teammate Larson just ahead of us now. As we come to lap 61, we would get past Suarez and I believe Larson as well as we come towards lap 62, sitting now in P15 15, so it's looking like the top 10 might be a little hard to get to at this point, as we now get a caution once again, and we will restart P14 this time as Stenhouse continues to lead, and someone up ahead blew an engine. I believe it was actually a lap car, because they blew an engine earlier and fell down a lap, like just a lap before, and would end up bringing out the caution as we get ready to go green behind the 48, and Jimmy Johnson's green flag is back out. It is just 14 laps to go in this race as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. looks to hang on to the lead and win this race. And obviously, starting up top, we're going to try and force it all the way to almost towards the wall as we come through turns 1 and 2, passing the 48 and Jimmy Johnson, gaining a few positions out of the corner down the straightaway side by side with the 41 of Kurt Busch, in another 3 wide situation as we go into turns 3 and 4. Though unfortunately, through this turn 3 and 4, the outside did not work nearly as good as it did in turns 1 and 2, so we would end up losing a spot to Kyle Busch through the straightaway going back into turns 1 and 2. Able to get inside now as Suarez gets into the back of me, getting sideways, but he is able to hang on to the car as I cut down in front of him, making sure I got to the bottom line, and unfortunately he just could not slow up in time, but he did hang on to the car, so that's good for him as we come through turns 3 and 4. Looking into the inside of Kyle and Kurt Busch now, a very ambitious move as I almost drove right into the back of the 18 as we cut the dogleg with 12 laps to go in this race, continuing to work our way forwards now as we get up to P11, look into the back and inside just about of the 12 of Ryan Blaney. We would get ahead of him now as we look to the inside of the 38 of David Reagan as we cross the line this time by. It is 10 laps to go at this point in the race, and we would cut that dogleg and eventually get a run on the 38 as we go into turns 1 and 2. Look into that inside as we cut down under the yellow line, trying to come up alongside of him as we make a little bit of contact with Reagan as out of turns 2 down the back straightaway. We would clear him and work our way up to P8, and that was as far as I could get up to this point as we come to lap 75, approaching 3 laps to go in this race. Harvick and Kurt Busch up ahead battle alongside with each other. Or that's actually Clint Boyer on the inside of Harvick now, as Eric Jones sits just ahead of them now, as we have just a 3-car battle happening right ahead of me, and that allows me obviously to get into the situation as Ricky Stenhouse Jr., you can see he's already exiting turn 2. He has a huge lead, and he's going to win this race if we do not get a caution. So he's looking for it to stay green, as Stenhouse somehow, I want to call it an upset, but he went and just actually raced up front, ran up front the whole race. It's not like he lucked in to the lead, but it's certainly a weird situation. He's going to have to continue that performance though throughout the rest of the season. Now as we come to 2 laps to go, going into turns 1 and 2, obviously now closed up on the back bumper of Harvick and Boyer as we come through the center and exit of turn 2 down the back straightaway. At this point, the tires once again were certainly wearing and causing me to lose some speed and time, unfortunately. Now as we come through turns 3 and 4, Stenhouse takes the white flag as we're going to have to cut the dogleg if we want to have a chance to pass the 4. So I do exactly that as we cross the line to take the white. Jones, Boyer, Harvick, and myself battle it out for a few positions as we go into turns 1 and 2, forcing it up the inside of Kevin Harvick, but on the exit of the corner he will be able to clear me now as we come down the back straightaway. Going into turns 3 for the final time, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is somehow going to win as we send it up the inside of Harvick, but I'm going to get out of the throttle before I hit him in the door, and we will come across the line to finish in the 8th position at ISM Raceway, which is pretty similar to where we finished in the playoff race last season. So a top 10 for us. We can't be too upset or disappointed with that. Obviously, Kevin Harvick and myself both started the first 4 races of the season with top 10s. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr., like we said, somehow, some way, he has won this race. And Stenhouse now in the playoffs with, I believe, 3 career wins now. He had a win at the Daytona July race, and I believe he won a Talladega race at 1.2. So good for him. I guess I'm not a Stenhouse fan myself, but we made a lot of money in this race. We sit P3 in the points. We lost the points position to Truex as he moves up to 2nd. He has the most playoff points in the field right now with 8, along with the 1 win. So Truex may be looking to be the favorite right now. He certainly wasn't the favorite last season, but he did end up winning the championship. He only had 2 wins compared to Harvick's 7, so we're going to see what he can do this season. Now, every driver in here is apparently happy with me, so obviously we're going to compliment them all as we close in towards almost already getting close to a quarter way through this season after another 5 to 6 races. So next race will be Auto Club for the Xfinity Series for Haley Deegan and myself in the Cup Series. We finished second there last season, so maybe we can pull off a victory this time around. So if you guys enjoyed, make sure to comment and like and subscribe. Those would all be very appreciated. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch one of my videos. And there you see the playoff grid. In the next episode, we will see who else can lock themselves in the playoffs or maybe get a second win on the season. So thank you for watching, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next episode, everyone. See you guys later.